Realize as I'm standing here, the earth is spinning on its axis 1,000 miles an hour. Like if I was God spinning a basketball 1,000 miles an hour. And at the same time it's doing that, the earth is going in orbit around the sun. And guess what rate of speed? 66,000 miles an hour. 66,000 miles an hour, 1,000 miles an hour. And on top of that, the whole solar system is going through the Milky Way galaxy. And guess what rate of speed? 400,000 miles an hour, 400,000 miles an hour, 66,000 miles an hour, and 1,000 miles an hour. And to top it all off, as that's happening, the whole Milky Way galaxy is tearing through the universe at guess what rate of speed? 2.2 million miles an hour. And that, officer, is why I failed to walk a straight line as you requested a few moments ago.
Governor Newsom, wildfires have destroyed millions of acres of the state, displaced countless amounts of family. Do you take responsibility for any of this, and is there anything more you think you could have done?
Not really. I think these fires were very devastating. I think the full scope of what actually has happened, we're not there yet. Okay, these people's houses are just destroyed. People are suffering. People are sad. But we're Californians. We're going to push through. We're going to push through. And where we're going, the vision is 10 times bigger than anybody else can even imagine.
Former President Trump has recently criticized your leadership, saying that you failed California. What's your response to him? And what does the future of California look like?
To be honest with you, I try to block that rhetoric, because the words that come out of his mouth, all the words out of his lips, they don't mean anything to me. He needs to use these more, because the future of California is bright. It's so bright. When you really try to look at it, I mean, really, really look at how bright it is, you're going to need shades to live in California 24 hours a day.
Critics are saying that you're all hand gestures and no action. What's your response to that?
I think people are wrong. Okay, they need to wake up. I speak with passion. I speak with fire, no pun intended. And I feel if I use my hands a lot, people won't be focused on the lies that are coming out of my mouth, because I lie a lot. So I want to distract them with my hands.
Interesting. Wait.
What?
Where'd my gum go?
To be honest with you, I have no idea. Would you look at that? You know what? This gum is just like California. It's sticky, it's resilient, and it'll bounce back.
You're a scumbag.
Thank you.
I just want to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. The children. I don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise. I just want to say that I'm so sorry.
You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
I have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubble.
And we're back. I'm back. I've returned. I see that a whole bunch of people have already. A bunch of folks watching in the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here tonight to say this. Boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, where I am broadcasting from North Idaho in an actual free state. Some people have said, BZ, who are you? Well, I am your conservative Sherpa. I am guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. That's who I am. But I have to tell you this. Please note that whatever occurs for the next 2 hours, these things that come out are my opinion, and my opinion only. What am I doing? I am doing the job that the American media maggots won't. I am fundamentally changing America one leftist diaper at a time. And we don't water our drinks just like we don't water our conversation. We are still serving stiff drinks in the saloon, along with facts, history, logic, rationality, proportion, context, tradition, clarity. I added that on the last show, and I like it. And common sense for normal people. Politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law. We talk about it all right here at the Saloon, where the speech is free, but the booze is not. I am streaming right now on a whole bunch of different places. Look, kind of like this, like Spreaker and Apple Podcasts and Facebook and KLRN, Twitch and X and Rumble and YouTube. I'm streaming all over the place. So, folks, it is January the 30th, the year of our Lord, 2025, and I thank you for being here tonight. I greatly appreciate it. I had to start out with a little levity because we're going to be going into some things that are not quite so levitatious. However, I think I made a new word. Once I address an issue that needs to be spoken about, at least very briefly, I will be moving on, because tonight it is hashtag winning. It's the second week of winning. And there are so many. Let's put this on here, because I just need to show you. This is the story that I'm going to talk about first. Obviously, so this is no shock. But up here, if you want to know what I'm going to talk about, just all that stuff, and I'm not going to get to it. Guaranteed. But that's what's up for bat. And with luck, I get to it. I've got just a ton of videos to tell everybody. Let's see. I've got 7 people watching over in Rumble right now. I've got 15 plus people watching over in YouTube. So, Unleash Jeremy Hansen, welcome to you. Rick Robinson, welcome to you as well. Welcome. And Rick Robinson, as per normal, I heard this every time. Those aren't my pants. And Rick says, hey, Jeremy Hansen, dude, I need you to be my spokesperson. I need you to be my spokesperson, Jeremy. Because what Rick Robinson wants. Rick, you may as well record, or I should send you you could hit a little button, and you will play this, and you'll hear the lamentation of their women. So anyway, thanks for Jeremy, thanks for Rick, thanks for all you guys being here tonight. And come all. Let's see. Subscribe if you would to Rumble if you're watching live on Rumble. And if you would also subscribe to the SHR Media YouTube channel, I would greatly appreciate that. And because the show is early, the show is young, Y-U-N-G, share it, S-H-A-R-I-T. Share it if you would. Flick it like fairy dust. What kind of dust? Far and wide, all over. Just pollinate the hell out of this show, if you would. That would be wonderful. And we're talking about a plush, resplendent, and palatial chat room. Nobody liked this one. I'm ripping the guts out of that one. I'm probably going to be going back to that one. But in the meantime, I want to tell you, oh my God, you guys have no idea the kind of money that I'm spending on the chat room. When you guys see it next week, now all will be revealed next week. When you see the chat room next week, you're gonna flip. Your lid will be flipped. So thanks for being here tonight. I have tons of happy stories, but I also have some very serious stories that I will regale to you before we begin the show. There are some updates with this in terms of, well, yesterday we learned about the crash, and that involved, let me see if I can go to this right now. That involved, oh, stop, get that off. Move it. You got to move it. I forgot to tell you, folks, tonight, your passwords are avuncular, bandicoot, and cloaca. I repeat, your passwords for tonight are avuncular, bandicoot, and cloaca. We now resume with life, which is already in progress. This is the DC map of what happened. And you can see the crash occurred essentially over the Potomac River. And much is being revealed at this point. Both aircraft ended up very close to shore in the Potomac, and they struck in this fashion. There's going to be more revealed, but at this point, it appears as though one of the major issues is going to be that staffing was not what it should have been, and staffing has not been what it should have been for quite some time in towers. That's going to be an issue. The helicopter is going to be an issue. The pilot's going to be an issue. I am, because of the nature of how I was raised, I was always around Air Force people. I was always around Air Force bases. I lived on Wright-Patterson Air Force Base for some time, and I have always been well aware of aviation and aviation patterns. So this is going to be, there will be some contretemps over this. Much more will be revealed. I'm kind of going to keep my cards played close to the vest on this, but there are some updates. All the persons, I believe there were 67 people that were killed, 3 in the Black Hawk helo. It was a military helo, and the rest on the commercial aviation, the Bombardier that was flying for American Airlines. And I have some thoughts on this, but I'm going to hold those for a while. Thoughts and prayers to the families of the people, of the families. There are no survivors. And bad situation all around. And one thing that I will tell you is that I believe this was completely preventable. There are a multitude of issues. When you deal, there was a friend of mine that used to be on the NTR, National Transportation, NTSB. And I spoke to him any number of times when I was working with a federal agency, and I knew this guy. We used to go out and toss things down, liquid things. And I know what you were thinking. Stop that. Okay, stop it right now. And he would quantify these things as a series in a disaster chain. In other words, what he said was, and I believe it to be true, is there's not just one very specific item that goes awry in a situation like this. It is a number of things that become sequential on said disaster chain, and we will discover what they are. It's good to see that there's such a good response occurring early. In this story, didn't you? Oh, by the way, Alaskan is in chat. He says, I'm going to wait for the NTSB report. And he says, I'm just south about 20 miles from Wright Pat right now. Okay, well, that's where I lived for a while on base at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And you and I both knew that this is going to happen. I mentioned this 3 weeks ago, and it's already happening. Pacific Palisades rebuilding. Anybody recall the large press conference with President Trump and Karen Bass on his right and Rick Grinnell on his left, and a host of other people from the county of Los Angeles, Mayor Bass, communist, sitting off to Trump's right. And she said, we'll be getting on top of this and we'll be removing the red tape. And I said, particularly in light of the fact of what occurred in Lahaina, I said, this is a Rahm Emanuel Mark I, Model I opportunity with which leftists will take advantage. And here it is, leftists taking advantage. Pacific Palisades rebuilding must now include low-income housing, Los Angeles law. Imagine that. I said literally 2 to 3 weeks ago. That's a little hot. Let me turn that down because I'm going to be yelling tonight just a bit. I said zoning will move from R1, which is single-family dwellings in the state of California, always spell it with a K, over to R3, which is small footprint, cram as many people like herring into a box, and if you can, build it vertically. So high density, low footprint, multiple family buildings are coming to replace you in Los Angeles. Because all of this burned area is too nice and we have to pack more people in there. And would it surprise you to think that probably a host of them are going to be illegal invaders? That should shock no one. Here's another just in a continuing series of really bizarre little stories. Suspect accused of plot to kill Trump officials is transgender. So all of this stuff, the shooters in Tennessee, all the other tranny shooters, etc., what this emphasized to me with emphasis is how it is that 0.01% of the population, a minuscule percentile of the population, can commit to such a large percentile of violence. The person who was arrested Monday for allegedly plotting to kill Trump officials has been identified as 24-year-old Ryan Michael English, who prefers to go by Riley Jane. Look at it, and it should be no shock that as Islam works, so do various factions of the left and illegal invaders, which emphasize demography is prophecy. Do not forget that. Demography is prophecy. Also, we were talking about the FBI, weren't we? I believe we were. Here's a story that just came out. You know what? I think I need to turn my headphones up because I'm still a little deaf. A previously identified anti-Trump FBI agent allegedly broke protocol and played a critical role in opening and advancing the Bureau's original investigation related to the 2020 election, tying President Donald John Trump, OMB, Orange Man Bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, to the probe without sufficient predication, whistleblower disclosures obtained by Senator Chuck Grassley revealed. For those of you not facile with how the FBI operates, there's a pre-investigation and then the investigation itself. That's how those things go. And then all that gets immured onto 302s, which are discoverable. However, inserts are not. I can't tell you any more about that. But I'd like to remind everybody that it was the Obama DOJ, by way of the FBI, began all this crap. Not entirely, but in a very major way, in 2016 by creating a soft coup against a presidential candidate, a presidential nominee, a president-elect, and a sitting president. As Trump knew from March of 2017, he said he was being wiretapped. You guys remember that? It's an outdated term, but it was a correct assessment of the surveillance that was conducted against him and those surrounding him, even way back in 2016, 2017. Here's a comparison that I'd like to make, and I've made before. When the FBI discovered California Senator Dianne Feinstein, who was chair, by the way, of the Senate Intelligence Committee, when it was discovered that she had a Chinese spy in her midst, first as her driver and then as her personal assistant for 20 years, the FBI, when they discovered, provided her with a proverbial heads up about the situation. The exact opposite occurred with President Trump. He received no such courtesy. That's political, period. End of statement. President Trump was given absolutely zero benefit of the doubt, and everybody surrounding him was investigated, stemming from that false, steal, Trump bed-pissing dossier bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton herself and her campaign. Now, having worked in the federal system before, I say this with knowledge. FBI Director James Comey in 2017 laid down in a press conference, you may remember that as well, a perfect case. What I was thinking, oh my God, is he going to do what I think he's not going to do? I didn't think he's going to do it. Oh my God, he's going to go after Hillary Clinton, because what he did is lay down a really great case against Hillary Clinton's illegal server, point by point. Then at the conclusion, he said, I'm not going to prosecute because she lacked intent. Well, those weren't crimes of specific intent, because I know the difference. There are crimes of specific intent and general intent. Those are crimes of general intent. But he decided he's not going to seek an investigation for prosecution because he said she lacked intent. Well, that's not his damn job. That was the job of Loretta Lynch, who was AG at the time. Your job, Comey's job, the FBI's job, law enforcement's job is to line them up. Line them up. That's what you're supposed to do. Line them up, arrest them, and then kick them down the alleyway, and then let the prosecutor decide whether they're going to take that case and go whole hog over it, or a series of cases. So what I knew to be true was the FBI became nothing more than the weaponized arm of the DNC and leftists and the Biden DOJ. It became a corrupt, anti-American terrorist organization. I've been saying that for about 2 years now. Well, PZ, that's harshly judgmental until you look at the definition of terrorism. Terrorism then and now has been defined as the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. So after Comey, Christopher Wray stepped in. Trump wised up and kicked Comey's ass to the curb. Christopher Wray stepped in. I do not align myself with everything that Donald John Trump has done or will do. He's made some really stupid decisions. Ray, Sessions, et al., any number of really, Bolden, any number of very stupid decisions. So Ray continued the agendized and politically biased DOJ abuses under Merrick Garland, which included, suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop. That's how I got my ass kicked off of Twitter permanently until I figured out a way to get back. Thank you, Sackhead Sean. I appreciate that one. Going after Catholics as terrorists, going after parents in school board meetings as terrorists, and then going after Trump lawfare on several cases at once. So this story just continues to reaffirm that the FBI hasn't much changed, which is why Kash Patel must be certified. Now, will he? I think I'm fairly confident in telling you that the same cast of invertebrates, rhinos, on the GOP side will again cast their nose. McConnell out of Kentucky, just because he wants to fuck with Trump. That's his high-handed fuck you on the way out the door. Murkowski, because she's a Democrat. Alaska. How the hell do you keep electing Murkowski? I don't grok that concept at all. Susan Collins in Maine. Maine is a leftist haven. Yeah, okay. I get that. And then there's another guy whose name I can't think of right now. He's a GOP. I believe he's a physician in some fashion, or in some way he's connected to the medical world. And he's likely to be a no on RFK Jr. as well. I've got great videos coming up. I got about 2 more minutes before the bottom of the hour break. So the standard usual suspects are going to be voting against Gabbard and Patel and RFK Jr. You know that to be true. This is nothing new. I'm not telling you anything that you already haven't sussed out. And I guess I could start this. I like James O'Keefe, and I always have. And he got screwed over by his former organization, and now he's kind of out there doing things by himself with a smaller cadre of individuals who are catching people saying truth on video. And that's why I've liked James O'Keefe. Hey, if it's good enough for 60 Minutes, it's got to be good enough for people on the right, right? Oh, no. No, 60 Minutes, good. James O'Keefe, bad. Well, here's what you're going to be seeing. This guy, when we come back, is going to be talking about the deep state. Look how young this little twerp is. He has said essentially that he has ways to get back at you from his desk, from home. As far as I know, he could be still working from home. Oh, have I got some awesome, happy stories for you as people work from home. Anyway, folks, I'm BZ. Let's take a break. Come right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome to Reaver of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a sharp wit and clear discussion. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a refreshing dose of reality as we fearlessly tackle the tough topics with no nonsense, just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com to discover where you can catch Reaver of Common Sense in action. He's here to amplify your inner logic. He may not always be polite, he may not always be refined, but one thing's for sure, he always tells it like it is.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being, and in the good that comes from exercising these rights well. The founders of our great nation chose independence, as do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic woman who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And so welcome back to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Thanks so kindly for watching tonight live and direct on Rumble and X and shrmedia.com and the SHR Media YouTube channel and the Stentorian KLRN Rick Robinson, with whom is in chat right now. And let's see, Phantom is in chat. Rick Robinson is in chat. He emphasizes once again, these are not my pants. Mission Ready Men is in chant. Unleashed, chant. A chanter is the training vehicle that you use for bagpipes. Important fact. What? Commies are good people deep down. 10 feet down. Nice. Nicely done. Nicely played. And Rick Robinson makes a reference to skydiving lessons. Okay. Let me go here anyway. We're going to be getting back to that because during the break, I found something that I'd like to tell everybody about. You're talking about here, Jeremy, her opening statement, and I'm going to be playing the whole thing. And yes, she scorched the living shit out of all the Democrats in that chamber. And I still think, yeah, that's true too. Meow. Well, Rick, meow. 1 million meows. So thanks to everybody for being here. I found this. We were talking about the crash that occurred, and people were saying, "Oh, DEI, that's not true. That's absolutely not true." Here's something. I'm not going to give this guy's name because I got it in reference from somebody else. DEI. No, DEI is not involved in the FAA or air traffic management or any of that stuff. I graduated from a CTI air traffic control school and got a degree in air traffic management. As soon as I graduated, Obama canceled the education requirement and hired, quote, off the street in order to fulfill their race and gender quotas. Like many classmates, I was never hired by the FAA after years of applying with a degree, working private ramp control at the ATL International Airport, that's Atlanta. After years of waiting, I gave up on being an FAA employee and went into real estate. Turns out the career change benefited me long-term. I am part of the class action lawsuit, which Trump mentioned today. Sad what the Democrats did here, like they've done everywhere, to wreck anything they touch. That's true. Democrats destroy everything that they touch. Not to mention, I took out federal student loans for the degree, which was worthless in the end, thanks to liberal DEI. How wonderful. 28 people watching live right now in YouTube. That's absolutely awesome. And the Alaskan is in the Rumble chat, not Rumblecat, but the Rumble chat. Let's put this back up. Here's the voice and the visage of the deep state. Byron.
People joke about the deep state, but like to some degree it's real because they have ways that they can slow things down or block you without you realizing it.
Meet Byron Cohen, an advisor at the White House.
RFK Jr. is a very bad pick for HHS. There's a good chance that the bureaucracy just crushes him.
Is there anything that you're gonna do?
I would consider like slowing things down. I can't really think of anyone who I would less rather have be president than Trump.
Okay, slow things down. What does he mean by that? That means paperwork can get lost. How many times have each and every one of you, in some kind of a bureaucratic fashion, gone to fill in the blank to have this aspect of government? What a shock. What a concept. To go to a government, some kind of an entity, and hope that they're going to be helping you. And then, in fact, they don't. All they do is put roadblocks and obstructions in your way. That's the deep state. That's what this guy does. You experience it. I guarantee you. You've experienced it before, likely numerous times.
Can you give me an example of like how you think they'll do it when RFK gets?
Okay, in the chat room, let me ask you guys right now, because eventually we're going to be getting there. Who do you think of, let's say, of Tulsi Gabbard, of RFK Jr., and Kash Patel? What do you think their individual chances are of getting confirmed? Or will the Democrats, because of the number, not because of the Democrats, if they fail to get confirmed, it will be because of the Republicans. We already know. I said with regard to Pete Hegseth, I said, some of the Democrats said, well, you didn't talk to me. You didn't talk to me. You had the opportunity to talk to me. Mazie Hirono, of course, told Pete Hegseth to go to hell. She wasn't going to meet with him. And I said something similar to, he doesn't need to meet with any of the leftist assholes. He doesn't have to meet with any of them. They're an auto no. One possibility of a yes was with Fetterman, who said, be still my quaking heart, that he wouldn't mind meeting with anybody. Well, damn you for being reasonable, but the rest of the fuck sticks, yeah, he didn't have really any interest in meeting with them. He knew. There or no. So, it's like hashtag, what's the point? Let me look in comments right now. Ricky Robinson says, got 131 on all 4 feeds right now. Rick also says he thinks Kash is about 70%. Tulsi is about 60%. And this is interesting. Jeremy has a positive view of this and says that he believes that they will all get confirmed. And he believes that Kash Patel is on the edge. What did I see something from Josh Hawley earlier today, who said that he believes of all the people that are on the edge, it's Tulsi Gabbard. It's so damn hard to tell. But there are 3 people, 3 Democrats that are going to be shitting in the Trump punch bowl, guaranteed. And this other guy, who I think is another story coming, he's, I guess, as far as I can tell, he's a no on RFK Jr. I'm just going to take a wait and see attitude. But this is the deep state. This is the reason these guys are the point for nominating all the people who will attempt to root out the deep state. That's the point of the federal employees, making them go to work, eliminating this, re-examining that, all these programs, the NGOs. This guy right here is the reason for all of that. This literally is the poster child for all of this. Rick says she had 7 Republicans against, down to 5 as of right now, as far as I can tell. And I find this interesting. Jeremy Hansen says Schiff is very afraid of Patel. My guess would be that's because of if he is confirmed and installed, I sense I may be hearing an investigation with Schiff's name on it. Something like that. Hey, NCX Group is in the house. That's Mike Fitzpatrick. What up? Thanks for being here tonight. I greatly appreciate it. So let's continue for a bit.
One thing you might be able to do to like sort of make him think like something is happening when it's not.
The White House advisor explains how the administrative state creates deceptive commissions to hinder executive decisions.
One of the ways you can slow things down in a bureaucracy is you can commit to studying something. Put together
This is sharp. Listen to this.
like a commission. Mr. Secretary, we're going to put together a commission to study the safety of fluoride in water. Mr. Secretary, we're going to put together a commission to study vaccine safety. And we'll let you know when the report comes out. And he'll be like, yes, yes, great. And then years will pass and nothing has happened. A sophisticated bureaucrat can do a lot to run around an unsophisticated political agency.
Okay, stop right there. That was true. Do you remember Comey saying out loud, yeah, we sent those FBI agents into the White House because we knew that Flynn, he would talk to everybody, and we took advantage full well of their naivete, which is exactly what the hell they did. Flynn learned his lesson. Then before we get into happy stories and whatnot, because I am going to do heyjackass.com, okay? People have said, where was it? I missed it. Well, it's coming. Hang on. This is from Mediaite. Journalists were told, and again, it's like, I'm slapping you upside the head. No, I'm not slapping you upside of the head. You are slapping upside of the head everybody else who said, no, this can't be true. I don't believe this at all. 30 people watching live right now. Greatly appreciate it. Don't write about the laptop. Don't talk about the laptop. Ace reporters claim Politico killed negative Biden stories. Now, you and I, rational thinking human beings, we knew this to be true. And I think it's self-evident. There's one thing. I'm going into the serious stuff right now before we get into the happy stories. Yeah, I've got a ton of happy stories. We're going to play some hearings. Would not shock you to know that I'm going to be commenting on those. Last Tuesday night, I spoke to my cybersecurity expert, Mike Fitzpatrick, and he's in chat here in NCX Group. Super smart dude. You got to go back and look and listen to last Tuesday's show with Mike Fitzpatrick. Well, he sent me this information. We talked about DeepSeek, which is a Chinese AI that I wanted to say startup. I'm not even sure it is a startup per se, but it's new to the United States, apparently. Well, he sent me this. So what I'm saying to you folks is internal DeepSeek database has been publicly exposed. And I'm looking for some more information here on that in just a moment. Wiz Research has discovered Deep Leak, a publicly accessible ClickHouse database belonging to DeepSeek, exposing highly sensitive information, including secret keys. It has a keylogger for you, should you subscribe. Lucky you. Plain text chat messages, back-end details, and logs. It's monitoring everything you do on your phone, on your computer, on your laptop, on your tablet. My suggestion is, and if you want to go into the deep detail that Mike Fitzpatrick provided last Tuesday, please see the show, because he addressed DeepSeek. But my advice to you is stay way the fuck away from DeepSeek. Their job, as you know, they're Chinese, they're communist Chinese, run at the behest of the CCP, is we're going to steal as much as we possibly can. The more proprietary, the better it is for us. Isn't that wonderful? Ah, can't stay away. Oh, I should tell you this. So there I was doing show prep for tonight's program. And my phone goes, "Ee-doot." And I look at it, and it's my bank. And my bank says, "Hey, by the way, BZ, you lucky bastard, you fat." I'm like, "Fat bastard, get in my belly." And he said, "Wow, aren't you lucky? You've been hacked. You've been hacked. What luck?" That's time for... No, not that one. Where is the... Oh, here we go. This is what it's time for.
The Bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every autocrat in the 50 wards.
Well, I have to tell you that I am not paying my producer $20 an hour. And apparently you're seeing the results. Hey, this is HeyJackass.com. HeyJackass.com. Go there. Illustrating Chicago values. So January to date, shot and killed 31, shot and wounded 107, total shot 138, total homicides 36. Week in progress, January 26th to February 1st, shot and killed 7, shot and wounded 22, total shot 29, total homicides 8. Final 2024 totals versus 2023. Shot and killed 538, down 7%. Shot and wounded in 2024, 2,444, down 2%. Total shot, 2,982 people, down 3%. Total homicides for 2024, 610, down 6%. Wow. Hey, so that means a person is shot every 5 minutes and 3 seconds. And a person is murdered every 19 minutes and 20 seconds in the city of Chicago.
The Bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every autocrat in the 50 wards.
So let's do this. Let's put this on board. Here is Elizabeth Warren. Oh God, I wish I'd been thinking about this. Maybe I have this up. I forgot to tell you this. We have applied. SHR Media has applied for a White House press pass. Can you imagine? It's in. It's in. Woohoo! We have officially applied for a White House press pass. It's going to be glorious. Anyway, Elizabeth Warren and RFK in the confirmation hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Kennedy, I want to start with something that I think you and I agree on, and that is that Big Pharma has too much power in Washington. You've said that President Trump asked you to, quote, clean up corruption and conflicts. Sounds great. You've said that you will, quote, slam shut the revolving door between government agencies and the companies they regulate. That also sounds great. So here's an easy question. Will you commit that when you leave this job, you will not accept compensation from a drug company, a medical device company, a hospital system, or a health insurer for at least 4 years, including as a lobbyist or a board member?
Okay, that's the Pete Hegseth question.
Can you just repeat the last part of the question? Can I commit
You're
to
not going
what?
to take money from drug companies in any way, shape, or form.
Who? Me?
Yes, you.
Oh. Yeah, I'm happy to commit to that.
Okay, good. That's what I figured. I said it's an easy question to start with.
Okay, let me suggest
more
something.
Of commit type questions. If
Damn it, Jim.
You are.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Kennedy, I want to start. You will quote.
I think Kennedy was surprised at the question because it's like, of all the people that you're going to ask that of, RFK Jr.? Are you kidding me? Holy crap.
Slam shut the revolving door between government agencies and the companies they regulate. That also sounds great. So here's an easy question. Will you commit that when you leave this job, you will not accept compensation from a drug company, a medical device company, a hospital system, or a health insurer for at least 4 years, including as a lobbyist or a board member?
Can you just repeat the last?
You're not going to take money from drug
Easy.
companies in any way, shape, or form.
Easy.
Me?
Yes, you.
Oh. Yeah, I'm
You're the
happy
one-
to commit to that.
Okay, good. That's what I figured. I said it's an easy question to start with. And I think you're right on this.
I don't
question.
think any of them want to give me money, by the way.
Let's keep going.
Correct.
You're right, because to say yes, because every American has the right to know
It will get contentious.
that every decision you make as our number one health officer is to help them and not to make money for yourself in the future. So I want to talk more about money. I'm looking at your paperwork right now. In the past 2 years, you've raked in $2.5 million from a law firm called Wisner Baum. You go online, you do commercials to encourage people to sign up with Wisner Baum to join lawsuits against vaccine makers. And for everyone who signs up, you personally get paid. And if they win their case,
Okay, stop. Let me put this up right now. She's like Raphael Warnock. He took a shit ton of money from Big Medicine in 2021, $1.7 million. She's no different. The only one that didn't take as much money, oh, and I have this, is Bernie Sanders. But Bernie Sanders is the reason the Democrats got Biden. Go.
you get 10% of what they win. So if you bring in somebody who gets $10 million, you walk away with $1 million.
Huh, just like attorneys.
Now, you just said that you want the American people to know you can't be bought. Your decisions won't depend on how much money you could make.
How does the CDC make its money? I know, BZ, I know, on patents for drugs. What?
In the future, you won't go to work for a drug company after you leave HHS, but you and I both know there's another way to make money. So, Mr. Kennedy, will you also agree that you won't take any compensation from any lawsuits against drug companies while you are secretary and for 4 years afterwards?
Well, I'll certainly commit to that while I'm secretary. But I do want to clarify something because you're making me sound like a shill. I put together that case. I did the Science Day presentation to the judge on that case to get it into court.
Mr.
The Daubert
Kennedy,
hearing.
Mr. Kennedy, it's just a really simple question.
Let him answer the fucking question.
You've taken in $2.5 million. I want to know if you will commit right now that not only will you not go to work for drug companies, you won't go to work suing the drug companies and taking your rake out of that while you're a secretary and for 4 years after. It's just
Okay, let me tell you what's going on here. She and all the other Democrat assholes that are going to be coming up, that you're going to be witnessing, are all taking advantage of clearly what they know. RFK Jr. has what is called spasmodic dysphonia, and he can't answer as quickly as a lot of other people can. They know it.
I'll commit to not taking any fees from drug companies while I'm secretary.
No. I'm asking about fees from suing drug companies. Will you agree not to do that?
You're asking me to not sue drug companies,
No,
and I'm
you
not
can
going to agree
sue
to that,
drug
Senator.
companies as much as you want.
I'm not going to agree
That's
to not
exactly
sue drug
what she
companies or
just
anybody.
said.
So let's do a quick count here of how, as secretary of HHS, if you get confirmed, you could influence every one of those.
And of course, he doesn't sue. It goes to the DOJ, and they have first right of refusal, you stupid bint.
Lawsuits. Well, let me start the list. You could publish your anti-vaccine conspiracies, but this time on U.S. government letterhead, something a jury might be impressed by. You could appoint
I
people
don't
to the
understand that.
CDC vaccine panel who share your anti-vax views and let them do your dirty work. You could tell the CDC vaccine panel.
Okay, she's just going to steamroller her ass Because she can.
And to remove a particular vaccine from the vaccine schedule. You could remove.
All of these people have zero interest in being informed by the people that are in front of them. Zero.
Vaccines from special compensation programs, which would open up manufacturers to mass torts. You could make more injuries eligible for compensation, even if there is no causal evidence. You could change.
That's not up to you. That's up to a jury. That's up to a court. That's tort law.
Vaccine court processes to make it easier to bring junk lawsuits. You could turn over FDA data to your friends.
A junk lawsuit is in the eye of the beholder, isn't it?
At the law firm, and they could use it however it benefited them. You could change vaccine labeling. You could change vaccine information rules. You could change which claims are compensated in the vaccine injury compensation program. There's a lot of ways that you can influence those future lawsuits and pending lawsuits while you are Secretary of HHS. And I'm asking you to commit right now that you will not take a financial stake in every one of those lawsuits, so that what you do as Secretary will also benefit you financially down the line.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's not the question. You and I, you have said
You're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to sue vaccine pharmaceutical companies.
Yes, she is.
That's exactly what you're doing.
Look, no one should be fooled here. As Secretary of HHS, Robert Kennedy will have the power to undercut vaccines and vaccine manufacturing across our country.
And again, she's steamrolling him because she can and because she knows it's easy.
And for all of his talk about follow the science and his promise that he won't interfere with those of us who want to vaccinate his kids, the bottom line is the same. Kennedy can kill off access to vaccines and make millions of dollars while he does it. Kids might die, but Robert Kennedy can keep cashing in.
Senator, I support vaccines. I support the childhood schedule. I will do that. The only thing I want is good science, and that's it.
How about then say you won't make money off what you do as Secretary of HHS?
Before we go to Senator Tillis, I think would be important for me to make it very clear that Mr. Kennedy has gone through this.
Okay, let me stop right here. For those of you who don't know Mike Crapo, that pisses him off because his name is Crapo. This is my senator from Idaho.
Same Office of Government Ethics process as every single other nominee in the Finance Committee this year and in previous administrations. In addition to listing his assets, including the items that you've identified, he has signed an ethics letter that has been reviewed by the Office of Government Ethics concerning any possible conflict in light of its functions and the nominee's proposed duties. And we have a letter from the Office of Government Ethics that he hasn't complied completely with all applicable laws and regulations governing conflicts of interest.
Mr. Chairman, point of information here. Have we had a single nominee come through who's made $2.5 million off suing one of the entities that it would be regulating and plans to keep getting a take of every lawsuit in the future? Have we had that before?
I haven't reviewed the past documentation of every other nominee's financial interests. And so, no, but I know that every single time we get a nominee, their financial interests are attacked. That's why we have the Office of Government Ethics. That's why they've reviewed everything that's in his record. And that's why he has even, I think, and I don't know that I want to ask him to get into it, but he has listed his assets and has gone through a discussion of the responsibilities under our ethics laws and is complied with all of those requirements.
So let me stop this right here because it's the top of the hour anyway. And I actually have to use the electric winkle chamber myself. So I'm guessing you do too. Or maybe you have to feed the dogs or clean your fish tank or balance your checkbook. Checkbook, what the hell is that? Anyway, it's the top of the hour. It's 9 p.m. Pacific. It's 11 p.m. Central. It's midnight on the East Coast. And it's 1729.723, paragraph 4 Subgrowth Cluster 2 in Bolivian time, but I could never understand Bolivian time. When we come back, we've got some more great hearings. Thanks to everybody for being here tonight. Thanks for being in chat. I appreciate it. You're in the saloon. Hey, so am I.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Join me right here on the SHR Media Network every Monday and Friday, 12 on the Pacific, 3 on the East Coast. On this show, we'll discuss news, politics, the government, how cranky we are about the government, and more. If you want to hear hard talk, good interviews, sarcasm, bad jokes, and oh God, that really is me in a nutshell. Either way, check me out right here on the Edge of Liberty every Monday and Friday, 12 Pacific, 3 on the East, on the SHR Media Network.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? Then check out Seven Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with Seven Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com. 7armors.com. Faithful, vigilant, steadfast, passion.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I'm back. And you're here. And it's our two. It's not just my two. It's all of us. It belongs to all of us. It's our two as well. I am supping from the cup of buttery goodness. Well, there's more than buttery goodness in here. I can guarantee you that. Thanks for being here tonight. Thanks to everybody for listening live, listening in chat. Share the show if you would, sharingly. During the show itself, click the share button. Let your friends know what's going on. A subscription gets me, it used to get me a porcelain Dalmatian. It got me the shutter shade from a 1924 Mack truck. I didn't like it because it wasn't chromed, but it will likely get me some vodka. And while you're at it, the fat guy has really unique things. Give me a thumbs up, not a regular thumb like most people have, but a crooked way the hell, what the hell is that? Kind of a thumbs up. If you would be ever so kindly, I'd greatly appreciate it. Here's another tete-a-tete between RFK Jr. and this is Senator Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada.
So it doesn't matter that you're before us. It could be anybody coming before us as long as they're a rubber stamp for this administration and disregarding your beliefs and what you think. I guess my question to you is, if it really is fundamental to what you believe, how do you live with that? How do you address those issues as you're moving forward,
You want me to
knowing
answer
that
the
it's going to
question,
harm
Senator?
Americans? Yeah.
You want me to answer the question?
No, I'm asking you.
Okay. President Trump has asked me to end the chronic disease epidemic and make America healthy again. And I'm
So
in a
is that the
unique
only reason why
position.
you're at HHS? Is that the
Excuse
only
me.
reason why then you're at the HHS to address that one issue?
President Trump has asked me because I'm in a unique position to end that. And that is what I'm doing. And if we don't solve that problem, Senator, all of the other disputes we have about who's paying and whether it's insurance companies, whether it's providers, whether it's HMOs, whether it's patients or families, all of those are moving deck chairs around on the Titanic. Our
Bingo.
ship is sinking. Our 60% increase in Medicaid over the past 4 years is the biggest budget line now, and it's growing faster than any other. And no other nation in the world has what we have here. No other nation has a chronic disease. We have the highest chronic disease burden of any country in the world. We had, during COVID, we had 16% of the COVID deaths in a country. We only have 4.2% of the world's population. We had a higher death count than any country in the world. And when CDC was asked why, they said it's because Americans are the sickest people on earth. The average person who died from COVID, American, had 3.8 chronic diseases. This is an existential threat.
Well, let me ask you a question also about that. You remember millions of people dying in Africa? Me neither. Hey, what was one of the biggest differences of the people in Africa? Do you remember the H word? What's the H word? Oh, that drug that combats malaria that's cheap. Hi something. Why?
Economically, to our military, to our health, to our sense of well-being. And it is a priority for President Trump. And that's why he asked me to run the agency. And if I'm privileged to be confirmed, that's exactly what I'll do.
I completely agree. But again, I repeat, these are all people taking advantage of RFK's spasmodic dysphonia. Because that was the first thing that I wondered when I first heard him is what the hell is going on with this guy's voice? And now you know. Now we're going to go to the onesies. Are you going to, can you handle the onesies? You can't handle the onesies.
Are you supportive of these onesies?
I'm supportive of vaccines.
Are you supportive of this clothing, which is militantly anti-vaccine?
I am supportive of vaccines. I will. I want good science, and I want to protect.
But you will not tell. Are you supportive of these?
See the people in the background looking at him, going, "This is a clown show. What is he doing here? What are these people doing here? Why are they asking this question?" And then we start to hone in on the true assets, the true interest. And it's kind of like this, a great 41 seconds.
And our kids are getting sicker and sicker. They're not getting better. Nobody here, all the people here who are defending this current system and defending these pharmaceutical industry profits, many of whom are taking huge amounts of money on the pharmaceutical industry, millions of dollars for many of these senators. And none of that, this is not making our country healthier. It's making us sicker. We need to get rid of these conflicts. We need good science and we need good leadership that is able to stand up to these big industries and not bend over for them.
Thank you. And you brought to.
Okay, what I have to say about RFK is this. He's not my cup of tea. I'll be the first to admit it. He's a one-trick pony. Now, if he can focus in like a laser beam on this stuff and you can keep him the hell away from the Second Amendment and linking health to the Second Amendment, and I don't think Trump would put up with that bullshit, not for a moment, but keep him in his lane and you'll be okay. Then there's Rand Paul. Let's have Rand Paul weigh in.
Will you reassure mothers unequivocally and without qualification that the measles and hepatitis B vaccines do not cause autism?
Senator, I am not going into the agency with any.
That's kind of a yes or no question, because so if you're, because the data is there. And that's kind of a yes or no. And I don't mean to cut you off, but that really is a yes or no.
If the data is there, I will absolutely do that.
Now there is the data, just because I used to do hepatitis B, as I've said. I know the data is there.
You know, I think okay, let me stop this here for a second. This is the guy I was thinking about. This guy, Cassidy, is a Republican and pretty much guaranteed he's going to be a no vote. So if you're talking about McConnell and Murkowski and Collins, and you're probably going to be talking about this guy Cassidy as well, not looking real good.
Discussion over vaccines is so oversimplified and dumbed down that we never really get to real truths. And it's
Thank
why
you.
people up here are so separated from real people at home. So we talk about hepatitis B. It's a terrible disease. It could lead to liver failure, as the chairman said. But the reason you have distrust from people at home, why they don't believe anything you say, they don't believe government at all, is you're telling my kid to take a hepatitis B vaccine when he's 1 day old. You get it through drug use and sexually transmitted. That's how you get hepatitis B. But you're telling me my kid has to take it at 1 day old. That's not science. And so every person with a bit of common sense, even people who don't resist vaccines, I vaccinated all my kids. I believe vaccines are one of the modern miracles beyond all pale. The Speckled Monster is a great book about the introduction of the smallpox vaccine in 1720 into our country. All miracles. But I'm not a one size fits all. It's not all or nothing. I chose to wait on my hepatitis B vaccine, and we did it when they went to school. Does that make me an awful person? Does that make me an anti-vaxxer because I questioned the government dictate of whether I do it? And I'm not speaking for anybody else. I'm only speaking for myself. But for goodness sakes, let's have an honest debate about these things. The COVID
Science demands questions.
vaccine. If you ask me my opinion, the reporters run up and down the aisle and they say, "You still anti-vaccine?" No, I'm pro-vaccine. But on the COVID vaccine and on the COVID illness, there was a 1,000-fold or more difference between the elderly and children. If you don't acknowledge that, you're committing malpractice. You're showing your ignorance. If you say a 6-month-old must be mandated to get it, the science is not there. So all this blather about the science says this and the science says that, no, it doesn't. The science actually shows that no healthy child in America died from COVID.
Thank you.
Look it up. No healthy child died from COVID. And so the thing is that it's 1,000-fold greater. So if you ask me my advice as a physician, if you were 65 or older or overweight and some other conditions, I would have said, hell yes, I'd take the COVID vaccine. The risks of the disease were real and much greater than the vaccine. But if you ask me, should my healthy...
Stop. Pure blood. I have an immune system.
6-month-old get it. See, these are the nuances you're unwilling to talk about because there's such a belief in submission. Submit to the government. Do what you're told. There is no discussion. There ought to be a debate. You're not going to let him have the debate because you're just going to criticize and say, it is this and admit to it or we're not going to appoint you. But it's more complicated than that. And this is why people distrust government.
Thank
Because
you.
you're unwilling to have these conversations. And go home. Ask your Democrat young mothers, your Republican young mothers, if they're vaccinating their kid for hepatitis B and they're like, well, do I have to do it on day one? It's this precious little baby. Is there science to say you shouldn't do it? Probably not, but it's my kid. You know, it's like there isn't clear-cut science saying not to. But on autism, there's no good science of anything to show what causes autism. We don't know. It's a profound disease. I know many moms here and dads who have kids with autism. I know them personally. I've met their kids. But the thing is they saw their kids developing completely normal, maybe speaking 100 words go to no words at about 15 months of age. Now, there isn't proof. There isn't proof that the vaccines cause it. That's true. There isn't proof that it causes it, but we don't know what causes it yet. So shouldn't we be at least open-minded? We take 72 vaccines.
Yes.
Could it be? I don't know. But we shouldn't just close the door and say we're no longer, because we believe so much in submission, we're not going to have an open mind to study these things. And so it's sort of this crazy notion. Schizophrenia, I would put in the same notion. You have a kid who's completely normal to 18 or 19, and their brain goes haywire. How does that happen? It's the most bizarre disease. Shouldn't we be open? Could it be our food? It might be vaccines. It might be our food, but autism is more common. I don't know about the schizophrenia statistics, but autism is more common. Shouldn't we want to be open-minded? Instead, we're so close-minded and we're so consensus-driven that the science says this. Well, science doesn't say anything. Science is a dispute, and 10 years from now, we could all be wrong. We were told in the beginning, 20 years ago, they did this enormous study and they said, everybody over 50 should take an aspirin. I thought, well, that's a pretty good idea. It makes sense. But you know what? 20 years later, they measured it. And they found if you had no heart disease and you were taking aspirin, your chance of dying from a brain bleed or from a stomach bleed were greater than the risk of heart disease. If you have heart disease, they still say take an aspirin. If you don't, they've changed their mind 20 years later. But would you have all said I was crazy and I should no longer be in public discourse if I had said 20 years ago, I don't feel like taking an aspirin. I ride my bike all the time. I'm afraid I might hit my head. But that's what country's about. It's what dissent is about. So just ask you to look at the larger picture and give the guy a break who says, I just want to follow the science where it leads without presupposition. I think really what we have up here is presupposition.
Exactly. And that's what you got during Wuhan 19. People assuming that because it came from the government, it's going to be right. It's going to be true. It's going to be accurate. And the answer is, no, it isn't. I'm going to be talking about your favorite guy next. Your favorite and your favorite and your favorite and your favorite. Adam Schiff. This was amusing. Anyway, moving on from Adam Schiff. Let's put this up. Adam, where have you been? Weigh in, dude.
Mr. Patel, early in this hearing, Senator Durbin asked you about the January 6th choir of inmates whose song you promoted, and here's what you said. I did not have anything to do with the recording. I did not have anything to do with the recording. Do you stand by that testimony, Mr. Patel?
Senator, what I said was I didn't do the recording.
You said you didn't have anything to do with the recording, which is in.
That's funny. He said that, didn't he?
Interesting, because here's what you told Steve Bannon on his podcast. So what we thought would be cool is if we captured that audio and then, of course, had the greatest president, President Donald J.
Because to be on a podcast, you take an oath, right? I take an oath before I tell you guys things, right?
Trump recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Then we went to a studio and recorded it, mastered it, digitized it, and put it out as a song now releasing exclusively on the War Room. We. If you had nothing to do with it, Mr. Patel, why did you tell Steve Bannon and all his listeners that you did?
That's why it says we, as you highlighted.
Yeah, and you're part of the we, right? When you say we, that includes you, doesn't it, Mr. Patel?
Not in every instance.
Well, that's new. So when you said we, you didn't really mean you. Is that your testimony?
Not unless you have a new.
Is it your testimony, Adam Schiff, that you continuously said during the 20s that Trump was involved in Russian collusion? And I have evidence of it. I have evidence of Russian collusion. And the answer is stop. The
game changer. I'm also immediately.
Stop. Schiff got away with it. He's pounding people about a song. I never thought this would happen in the United States of America, what we're seeing and all the things here. By the way, again, thanks to everybody for being in chat tonight. Mission Ready Men, Reaver, Phantom, Jeremy Hansen, Rick Robinson, all of you, thanks for being here tonight and being involved in chat. It's a whole ton of fun to see. Now, if my producer could only pay attention to chat.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Josh Hawley.
Mr. Patel, welcome. It's great to see you again. I enjoyed our conversation in my office a while back. Let me ask you this. Is it appropriate for the Federal Bureau of Investigation to attempt to recruit spies or informants into religious institutions in this country, particularly Catholic parishes? Is that appropriate?
I don't believe so, Senator.
Mr. Patel, are you familiar with the recent actions of the FBI in this regard, including this memo that I have right here, making a list of Catholic churches and parishes that they regard as potentially suspect and directing the potential recruitment of informants and other spies, let's be honest, into those parishes?
I'm familiar with that memo, Senator.
Mr. Patel, would you commit to me that you will, if you are confirmed, that you will finally and officially withdraw this memo and make it clear that this is not only unacceptable, but that it is an absolute violation of the First Amendment that every American enjoys under the Constitution of the United States?
If I'm confirmed, Senator, yes.
Will you also commit to me that you will conduct an investigation and find out who wrote this memo, who spread this memo, the field offices involved in this memo? Because I can tell you, we've had your predecessor sit right where you're.
And that's why people don't like Kash Patel. As Jeremy Hansen said earlier in the show, he's a threat. He's a threat to Adam Schiff. He's a threat to all the people that perpetrated, basically, as I said in the first hour, a soft coup against Donald John Trump, OMB, Orange Man Bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head. It was a soft coup. And the FBI was responsible for suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop, going after Catholics as terrorists. That's what Hawley's referring to right here. He'll soon, I believe, refer to parents in school board meetings. And then, of course, Trump himself. But I re-emphasize, emphasingly, this is not revenge. This is not retribution. This is justice.
You're sitting, and he has repeatedly lied to, there's no other word for it, lied to this committee. He told us initially that it didn't happen, that the FBI didn't make any lists of churches. That's not true. We have it. A
Bullshit.
whistleblower brought forward the list for us. He said then that only one field office had worked on it. Turns out we know from another whistleblower, multiple field office worked on it. He said that it was never posted on the internal system. It turns out it was. We believe it's still in effect. Will you find out who was involved in this gross abuse of Americans' First Amendment rights? And will you discipline them? And if you possibly can, will you fire them, Mr. Patel, consistent with department policy and law?
Senator, you have my commitment to investigate any matters such as this one that are important to Congress. I will fully utilize, if confirmed, the investigative powers of the FBI to give you the information you require and also to hold those accountable who violated the sacred trust placed in them at the FBI.
I'm glad to hear you say that, and I'm glad you use the word sacred trust, because that's exactly what it is. The FBI is the most powerful law enforcement body in this nation, arguably the most powerful law enforcement body, at least in a free nation in the world. And to have this body corrupted politically such that it is targeting people of faith in this country and then lying about it to this committee and the American people is unimaginable. I'll be honest with you. I never thought this would happen in the United States of America. I just didn't. If you had told me 5 years ago we'd be reading memos like this, I would have said, no way, that's bad fiction. In fact, it's a horrible.
The stories I could tell you about the federal law enforcement and how it works or doesn't.
Reality. The department needs to be cleaned up. The agency does, and rights restored and protected. I'm glad to hear you say that. Let me ask you this. Do you think it is appropriate for the FBI to be sending agents, including counterterrorism agents, to the parents of children who went to school board meetings and asked about critical race theory in their schools, asked about the school's masking policy during COVID? Should those parents be treated as domestic terrorists?
Parents who have the courage to ensure their children are taught what they feel is right, and those who have the courage of their convictions to go houses of worship, in my book, will never be domestic terrorists.
I'm delighted to hear you say that. You're familiar, I am sure, with this memorandum issued by the Attorney General, the last Attorney General, Merrick Garland, directing the FBI and other law enforcement agencies to look into parents who went to these school board meetings. And we know from whistleblowers who've come forward to this committee and given us the evidence that, in fact, the FBI opened multiple cases against multiple parents across the nation, I believe, including in my home state of Missouri. Another gross abuse, incredible political power brought to bear against everyday citizens. Why? Because they went to a school board meeting that they're paying for and asked about what their kids were being taught.
Stop. I'm going to have to move on because there's so much more to go on. But it's why I've said the FBI became nothing more than the weaponized arm of the DNC, of leftists, the Biden DOJ. It is a corrupt, anti-American terrorist organization by the very definition of terrorism, which is the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against citizens in the pursuit of political aims. That's exactly what the FBI has been. John Kennedy.
Mr. Patel, did you listen to what my colleague, Senator Welsh, had to say about politicizing the FBI and the Department of Justice?
I did, sir.
I did too. I always listen when Senator Welch speaks. And he's right. But here's where we find ourselves today, and you can put an end to this.
Please, God.
For better or worse, either in reality or perception, in modern times, the FBI has been politicized, or at least there's an appearance. It started with Mr. James Comey. He publicly investigated the political nominee of both major parties. Guinness Book of World Records. He publicly investigated both Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Held a press conference. Hurt that agency more than I will ever know. I wouldn't put Mr. Comey in charge of a ham sandwich. And so did Peter Strzok. And so did Lisa Page. And
let me stop here for just a second and remind everybody, as I told you before, Comey said in lining up Hillary Clinton, he said, there is evidence that Clinton and her team were extremely careless in the handling of very sensitive, highly classified information. The investigation found 110 emails that should have been regarded as classified at the time. Now, whether it's overclassification or underclassification, that's a story for another day. But do you also remember that Comey leaked a classified memo as well? He leaked it internally and was never taken to task for it.
And so did Michael Sussman. And the person who gave him, a Hillary Clinton lawyer, a pass to roam around the Department of Justice and the FBI at will. And so did the prosecutors who tried to slip by a 2 misdemeanor plea deal for the president's son. And it hurts me to say this, but so did Attorney General Garland. For the first time in the history of ever, the Attorney General Garland chose to prosecute a former president of the United States. And this part is really special. He did it after the former president of the United States announced that he would be a candidate against his, Attorney General Garland's, boss.
Can you imagine the absolute shitstorm? And this is how I adjudge things, is the BZ reversal axiom, which is, okay, Democrats did X, these were the results, or there were no results. And then Republicans, what would have occurred had Republicans done X? Fill in the blank. Well, Islam did X, fill in the blank. What would have happened had, say, Catholics done the same thing? Well, I'm running out of room. I'm running out of time. It's time for a break. Make water, have a beer, be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome to River of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a sharp wit and clear discussion. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a refreshing dose of reality as we fearlessly tackle the tough topics with no nonsense, just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com to discover where you can catch River of Common Sense in action. He's here to amplify your inner logic. He may not always be polite, he may not always be refined, but one thing's for sure, he always tells it like it is.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being, and in the good that comes from exercising these rights well. The founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic woman who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back. It's the final half hour, the final 30. I'm BZ. You're in the saloon, and thanks for being here. Thanks for watching live. You're watching in a ton of places. You can watch a ton of places. And thanks to my good friends at KLRN. Thanks to everybody for watching later in podcast. And thanks for being in the chat room. I greatly appreciate it. This has been sort of the big winning, and I thought I should know better. I never get through all this stuff that I want to. Hour and a half, and I haven't even hit happy stories yet. Because let me throw this out there, and this is kind of my philosophy. I'm not a young kid anymore. And what I've been doing for the past couple of years is I have a blog at bloviatingzeppelin.net. And I use that to immure things that are important in my life. I don't write about myself personally very much anymore. But that was an archive of a lot of the things that happened to me when I was like 10 or 15 years younger. I started that blog in 2004. And the only reason I use social media is if you want to find out what's going to be on my show, all you have to do is go to my social media, because mostly I don't give a shit about making any friends on social media. I use social media as a place. It's my constant, ever-changing tickler file of the stuff that I want to talk to, that I want to remember. And the other thing that I do in a show is I use these shows. I hope they're kind of maybe sort of entertaining. That's a side benefit. But I also use these shows for me as a remembrance of all the crazy crap, because today is so damn crazy. I use it as a place to immure the crazy shit that I've witnessed and undergone and seen. And so that's how I bring it to you. There was a time when I didn't have the ability, because I was a moron, a fat moron, and an aged, hairy moron. I have more ear hair than I do under my pits anymore. What the hell? TMI, stop. But I use this as an immuration of the craziness that's gone on. I've been to 3 World's Fairs and a goat fuck, and still every day, I can't say it shocks me because I'm almost primordially unshockable anymore. But I use this show as a way to archive all this craziness. And there's just so much craziness that's going on. But I also say this, I've said it before, and I'm definitely saying it now. You know what? Crashes, hearings, week 2 of hashtag winning. And so things are changing. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a hell of a fight. I can't even tell you. Nobody can tell you. God knows. I don't. Will Cash get confirmed? Will Tulsi get confirmed? Will RFK Jr. get confirmed? We have so many of our own people, you know, the GOP, the Republicans, undermining ourselves. I think I've told you this before. I'm not a Republican. I call myself a Conservatarian. I vote independent. So I contribute. I am okay in terms of retirement. I'm okay. I've got a nifty little retirement. So if I send politicians money, I don't send it to the GOP, they can go to hell. The same hell that the Democrats can go to. I target my cash. So this show exists like it's fun. As long as it's fun, and I'm not dead yet, I'm going to continue to do it. It's still fun. And that's why it still kind of scares me that anybody at all is watching this show. That's kind of frightening. I'll talk about that someday. Imagine that. So let's go to, this was a great introduction. If an individual to be confirmed, nominated by Trump, made an exquisite introduction, OMG, it was Tulsi Gabbard.
I'm honored and grateful to President Trump for his trust and confidence in nominating me to serve our country as the Director of National Intelligence at a time when trust in the intelligence community, unfortunately, is at an all-time low. Chuck Schumer admitted a few years ago, quote, "You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you."
Okay, stop just for a second. I know that most of the people that are watching the show right now know what a DNI is. But for those who don't deal in the minutia of all this stuff, DNI is the Director of National Intelligence. What that means is she's not running for CIA director. That's beneath her. She's not running for NSA director. That's usually a military general or an admiral. She's not running for DIA. The 17 intelligence agencies plus are under her. She's the umbrella director of national intelligence. She's above all those individuals. That's why she's critical. That's why the guns are out to try to make sure that she gets nowhere near the DNI office, because what would she do? She would support Kash Patel and John Ratcliffe, who was already approved.
For too long, faulty, inadequate, or weaponized intelligence have led to costly failures and the undermining of our national security and God-given freedoms enshrined in the Constitution. The most obvious example of one of these failures is our invasion of Iraq, based upon a total fabrication or complete failure of intelligence. This disastrous decision led to the deaths of tens of thousands of American soldiers, millions of people in the Middle East, mass migration, destabilization, and undermining of the security and stability of our European allies, the rise of ISIS.
I'm curious, what do you guys in chat think about that? That faulty intelligence led to the destabilization of almost all of Europe.
Strengthening of Al-Qaeda and other Islamist jihadist groups, and strengthening Iran. Here are just a few other examples. The American people elected Donald Trump as their president not once but twice, And yet the FBI and intelligence agencies were politicized by his opponents to undermine his presidency and falsely portray him as a puppet of Putin. Title I of FISA was used illegally to obtain a warrant to spy on Trump campaign advisor Carter Page, using a Clinton campaign-funded false dossier as their so-called evidence.
Bingo.
Biden campaign advisor Tony Blinken.
Okay, let me stop here just for a second. The FISA courts were made to look like absolute damn fools, and they didn't say a damn thing. It's because they were made to look like fools. Now, in the state of California, always spell it with a K, had something like that occurred to me, I would be facing, in other words, if I brought false evidence and some court in the state adjudicated that that was bad evidence, you shouldn't have collected it, and that evidence should not have been introduced at trial, I would be guilty and I would be susceptible to the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine, which the feds were not, which no one was subject to. If I were a FISA judge, I'd be so damn pissed. The fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine says that if you bring me a faulty warrant application and I sign off on it, and all the shit that was in there, your affiant. Turns out most of it is bullshit. The fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine says everything subsequent is out, it's trash, and cannot be used. It could be used, but affirmatively, it was decided not to.
Was the impetus for the 51 former senior intelligence officials' letter dismissing Hunter Biden's laptop as disinformation specifically to help Biden win the election. Former DNI James Clapper lied to this committee in 2013.
Bingo.
Denying the existence of programs that facilitated the mass collection of millions of Americans' phone and internet records, yet was never held accountable. Under John Brennan's leadership.
Do you see where this is going? Clapper, Brennan, et al., CIA, NSA, intel agencies. She would be the lead.
Leadership, the CIA abused its power to spy on Congress, to dodge oversight, lied about doing it until he was caught, and yet has never been held responsible. Under Biden, the FBI abused its power for political reasons to try to surveil Catholics who attend traditional Latin Mass, labeling them as quote unquote radical traditionalist Catholics. Personally, just 24 hours after I criticized Kamala Harris and her nomination, I was placed on a secret domestic terror watch list called Quiet Skies. Sadly, there are more examples. The bottom line is this must end.
She was personally affected. Hey, what happens when a Democrat's ox gets personally gored? Then you see the revenge and the retribution. Here, it will be justice, which is why they cannot afford to confirm her.
President Trump's reelection is a clear mandate from the American people to break this cycle of failure, end the weaponization and politicization of the intelligence community, and begin to restore trust in those who've been charged with the critical task of securing our nation. If confirmed as DNI, I will do my very best to fulfill this mandate and bring leadership to the intelligence community with a laser-like focus on our essential mission.
I believe her.
Ensuring the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. As the president's principal intelligence advisor, I'll begin by leading by example, checking my own personal views at the door, and committing to delivering intelligence that is collected, analyzed, and reported without bias, prejudice, or political influence. I enlisted in the Army because of the horrific terrorist attack on September 11th and volunteered to deploy to Iraq in 2005, where I served in a medical unit. After nearly 22 years in uniform with 3 combat deployments to the Middle East and Africa, I'm now a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve, where I serve as a battalion commander of soldiers in Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas. I served in Congress for 8 years on the Homeland Security, Foreign Affairs, and Armed Services committees. And it's my experience in the military and in the halls of Congress that have given me a deep understanding of the complex challenges that our nation faces, in both roles engaging with world leaders in both roles being privy to highly classified intelligence.
But she's not qualified. Remember, she's not qualified.
So I know firsthand how essential accurate, unbiased, and timely intelligence is to the president, to Congress, and to our warfighters. I also know the heavy cost of intelligence failures and abuses. Senator Collins, you led the creation of ODNI specifically to address those intelligence failures of 9/11 and Iraq's so-called WMDs. The need for the ODNI under strong leadership still exists today.
She's going to be Collins, Susan Collins of Maine. She'll be a no.
If confirmed, I'll bring my experience and fresh eyes to leading the intelligence community. And my day one priorities will be to assess the global threat environment, identify where gaps in our intelligence exist, integrate intelligence elements, increase information sharing, and ensure that unbiased, apolitical, objective collection and analysis to support the president and policymakers' decision-making occur.
Let me interject this for a second because I was, in an adjunct kind of way, involved in intelligence gathering. I'll just leave it at that. In the 70s. There's HUMINT, COMINT, ELINT, SIGINT, and I'm probably missing a couple of others. HUMINT is human intelligence gathering. COMINT is communications intelligence. ELINT is electronics gathering. And SIGINT is signals intelligence gathering. And like I say, I'm sure I've missed something. We relied on all of the technology in the 70s and pushed human intelligence gathering to one side because that was touchy. We can't do without HUMINT, without people on the ground. The rest of that crap is primarily, in a great deal of ways, it's specious. Take is what they're looking for, and then the analysis thereof. Oh my God, I'm getting in the weeds on this crap. But that's part and parcel of why I backed Hegseth, Ratcliffe, her as DNI, Kash Patel as FBI. These people have been there. And in terms of Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard, they've both been on the receiving, skewering end of this crap too. Oh, they know what it feels like to be shivved.
I'll work to end the politicization of the intelligence community and ensure there is a clear mission focus in the IC on its core mission of this unbiased, apolitical collection and analysis of intelligence to secure our nation. I'll work to rebuild trust through transparency and accountability. This is a national security imperative. And I'll work to assess and address efficiencies, redundancies, and effectiveness across ODNI to ensure focus of personnel and resources is on our core mission of national security. In my meetings that I've had with many of you, you expressed bipartisan frustration about recent intelligence failures, as well as the lack of responsiveness to your requests for information. Whether it's the surprise October 7th Hamas terrorist attack.
Thank you.
To the sudden takeover of Syria by Islamist extremists.
Thank you.
Failures to identify the source of COVID. Anomalous health incidents, UAPs, drones.
Okay, 5-year-olds knew what that was.
And more. If confirmed, I look forward to working with you to address these issues. Ensuring the safety, security, and freedom of the American people is a mandate of leadership that rises above partisan politics. If confirmed, my commitment to the president, to you, and to the American people is this. I will do my very best to find the truth, no matter where it leads, and share that truth with President Trump, his advisors, and you in Congress, providing you with that unbiased, timely, and accurate intelligence as you make the tough decisions that'll impact the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. Now, before I close, I want to warn the American people who are watching at home. You may hear lies and smears in this hearing that'll challenge my loyalty to and my love for our country.
Here we go. Look at the sign. I don't know if you can see it right down here. It says on our little placard, Lieutenant Colonel Tulsi Gabbard. That means she's currently serving in the reserve. That means she automatically gets security clearances. That means that if she were a Russian agent, an agent of Syria, as they will allege, it would have been, especially under the Biden regime, it would have been so ridiculously simple to just remove her security clearance, which didn't happen, and she's a lieutenant colonel.
Those who oppose my nomination imply that I am loyal to something or someone other than God, my own conscience, and the Constitution of the United States, accusing me of being Trump's puppet, Putin's puppet, Assad's puppet, a guru's puppet, Modi's puppet, not recognizing the absurdity of simultaneously being the puppet of 5 different puppet masters. The same tactic was used against President Trump and failed. The American people elected President Trump with a decisive victory and mandate for change. The fact is, what truly unsettles my political opponents is I refuse to be their puppet.
You know what rankles? I got about 10 more minutes. I might go into a little bit of overtime because fuck me, I still haven't hit the happy stories yet. What particularly rankles them is she was a Democrat in Hawaii. She was on their team. And now she must be eliminated wholesale because she isn't on their team anymore. She swapped teams. Why? Because her Democrat ass got gored by her peeps. It's no more complicated than that.
I have no love for Assad or Gaddafi or any dictator. I just hate Al-Qaeda. I hate that we have leaders who cozy up to Islamist extremists, minimizing them to so-called rebels. As Jake Sullivan said to Hillary Clinton, quote, Al-Qaeda is on our side in Syria. Well, Syria is now controlled by an Al-Qaeda offshoot, HTS, led by an Islamist jihadist who danced in the streets on 9/11 and who is responsible for the killing of many American service members. Democrat senators in the past resorted to anti-Christian bigotry against some of President Trump's judicial nominees like Amy Coney Barrett and Brian Boucher. I condemn those actions as a Democrat in Congress at the time, as religious bigotry must be thoroughly condemned by all of us, no matter the religion.
Dianne Feinstein, the religious dogma lives large in you. Remember?
Unfortunately, there are some Democrat senators who still don't understand the principle of freedom of religion and Article 6 of the Constitution. Quote, no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. Unfortunately, they're once again using the religious bigotry card, but this time trying to foment religious bigotry against Hindus and Hinduism. If anyone is sincerely interested in knowing more about my own personal spiritual path of Hinduism, I welcome you to go to my account on X, where I'll share more on this topic.
She wants to go there. That's fine. She can go ahead and go there. I don't really give a ragged, pustule-ridden fuck about that. But that's where she started. And then all the things that she addressed, all those aspects that she basically forecasted, they came back and were thrown at her, even though she already said, okay, I'm mitigating this and this and this and this. I'm saying that you're going to tell me this and this and this, and this is how evil I am. And so this is how evil she was.
I want to make certain that in no way does Russia get a pass in either your mind or your heart, or in any policy recommendation you would make or not make.
Here it comes.
Blah, 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 blah.
Senator, I'm offended by the question because my sole focus, commitment, and responsibility is about our own nation, our own security, and the interests of the American people.
That works.
In carrying out the responsibilities of the Director of National Intelligence, if confirmed, no country, group, or individual will get a pass in my fulfilling that responsibility of providing that full intelligence picture so that you all can make the best informed policy decisions for the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. You have my commitment to be completely objective, unbiased, and apolitical, and I hope you understand my commitment to our country's interest.
Oh, okay. Bye. See ya. Destroyed. Mark 1, Model 1 cruise missile applied. Thank you. Okay, I'm in a terrible conundrum right now, and maybe you folks can help me out. Because it's been 2 hours. I've addressed a ton of stuff, but I still haven't gotten to happy stories. Let me put this up here because look up here. This is where I am on the tabs. These are all the rest of the stories I have yet to do, and I haven't even gotten to them. So I'm not going to make this a 3-hour show. I'm going to wrap it up here very soon. But I have to ask myself, I'd love to do another show. And I'd love to make sure that I do it before Tuesday because I will be coming back on Tuesday. I'm on Tuesday and Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. But I want to do another damn show, and it's going to take me at least an hour to do it, to show and illustrate to you guys. It's hashtag winning. So I may do one Saturday, or I may do one Sunday. I don't want to conflict with the Reaver of Common Sense, who's doing his show Friday. So I'd like to do the wait a minute. Rick Robinson says, do overtime. And I said, I'm going. And he says, boo. Jeremy Hansen says, Tulsi Gabbard gives me hope in American values. And then Rick says this, hey, you want to come on with me tomorrow? Yeah, that'd be fun. I don't think I've been on your show before. That would be fun. So, damn it, Jim. I'm conflicted. I may go into some overtime. Well, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, I am going to go into some overtime because this is where you're listening.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I'm BZ, and I guess I'm going into a third hour because now, finally, holy mother of God, and since we are staying late, and it's not 2 a.m. yet here in the saloon, so I don't have to shut things down. The ABC, alcohol beverage control, is not going to come here. Oh wait, that's in California. I'm not in California anymore. So why don't we do this?
Folks, this is BZ's final hour. Step up. Last call for alcohol.
If you got them, smoke them if you got them, drink them if you have them. So, Glenn, let's transition over to.
It's time for happy stories and good times.
Here's a happy story, and I'm going to go back just a little bit because it is so grand. It is so happy. Remember the Colombian president? This is what happened, I think about 4 days ago. That was the 26th or the 27th where that occurred. So this is a happy story. This is where Trump was out playing a round of golf, and the Colombian president said, no, we're not taking our evil people back. And Trump said, yes, you are, tariffs. And then the Colombian president said, the office of the Colombian president on Sunday, said, this is the official statement now, this is the dog talking, we have, Frank Zappa reference, okay, for those of you, we have overcome the impasse with the government of the United States. We will continue to receive Colombians who return as deportees. Happy story. This is what happened. 1, Trump begins to play 18 holes of golf. 2, he discovers Colombia won't take its deportees. 3, Trump issues statement about huge tariffs. 4, Colombia caves to the tariffs threat. 5, White House says all, quote, this is a quote, all sanctions and tariffs will be put in reserve, waiting to see how it goes. 6, President Trump finishes 18 holes of golf. 7, peace through strength. 8, that's how it goes. And that, oh my God. Like I say, folks, this is just the beginning. Do I want to do this story? Yeah. Oh, and then, well, you weren't treating our people nicely, so instead of your crappy C-1, C-17s, we're going to use the presidential plane for deportation flights. It's like, yeah, whatever. You know, big deal. Here's another happy story that probably no one heard about, but I bet it's a big deal to this person. Belarus releases detained U.S. citizen Anastasia Neufer, says Washington. Not a big deal to you. I bet it was a big fucking deal to her. That's a happy story as far as I'm concerned. Here's another one. This just came out today. Do you guys ever watch The Five? If Harold Ford is on The Five, I'll watch The Five. Jessica Tarloff on The Five, nah. Exit, stage left. This story came out, and I saw it on The Five today. From Axios. Very hard port on Axios. Democrats hammered by ugly unpopularity numbers. Share, who say they have unfavorable opinion of the Democrat Party. Let me go by the numbers. 57% of registered voters have an unfavorable opinion of the Democrat Party, the highest percentage since Quinnipiac started asking the question in 2008. 45% of voters have an unfavorable opinion of the Republican Party, so apparently the parties are not loved and adored. 43% of voters have a favorable opinion of the Republican Party, the highest since 2008, which is also when Quinnipiac began in 2008. Hey, smash my mouth and call me a woodchuck. Here's someone that's going to weigh in on the Democrats.
Day after I finished my day job, I went to go clean a house for this woman. I had never cleaned for this woman before, and I knew that she was going to try to talk to me because she was very friendly. And let me set this up for you.
Let me set this up for you too. Look at the bottom. Look right around over here. See the caption? Leftist white chicks are insane. I've said that any number of times on social media. I'm on X at BZ's Saloon. But the caption here is the clue. Liberal white women are the worst. So you can see this coming.
Y'all, you know, when I come in, I'm in my uniform. And so we're talking about my day job at Chick-fil-A, you know, and everybody likes to tell me how they like the food, which is great food, and I don't mind. But, you know, I came straight to her house, so we're talking about this, and I asked her if I could change into my, you know, my cleaning clothes, and she's like, sure, and she introduces me to her husband and her granddaughter. Yay, everything's cool. But then they left, and she just wants to start talking, and I already knew. I knew Kamala was going to come up because we're alone. I'm a black woman. This is Austin, Texas. I knew it, and she did not fail to deliver. Sure enough, she smiled at me and said, aren't you excited about Kamala? No, I'm not. And I tried my best not to roll my neck too much and frown up and look like I was smelling onions.
I
But it
love
was really hard.
I love the inflection of the white chick.
And I'm not sure I succeeded. Actually, I know I didn't. Because I told her that not only did I not support Kamala, that the Democrats are the party that started the Klan. She tried to argue with me that the parties switched. And I've heard this goofy argument many times from many other liberals and Democrats that the parties have switched.
Okay, let me tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to wrap up after her, but you got to hear her because she is a metric fucking ton of fun. She has a great story. By the way, this comes from, I've had Brandon Strzok on my show. It's spelled Straka, but it's actually pronounced Strzok. I just messed up his last name for a long time. I had him on the show about 5 or 6 times. I can't get him on. He's too big. He's too famous now, and I'm too small. Well, in terms of, media, I'm not too small. If you look in the camera and if you look on the screen. But he is the sponsor. He's the creator of the Walk Away, the hashtag Walk Away movement. That's what he does. He gets people who were former Democrats to quantify their shindig, their story, and then post it. And that's what this is. This chick came to walk away and came to kick Democrats to the curb, and they all have great stories. And this is her story. That's the reference.
When? Because after they got rid of Lincoln, the Democrats took control and Jim Crow went into effect.
Thank you.
That is history. They got rid of Lincoln. After they did that, Jim Crow went into effect. It was a Democratic president. The Democrats had control. They were upset that slavery was over and done with. So when did this party switch? Where was the switch? Because Jim Crow went on. I went to history.com to look up when did Jim Crow end.
Wait a minute. Don't white leftists say that blacks, they don't have any idea how to get to the internet. They don't even have the internet, much less an ID.
And Jim Crow laws essentially ended, according to history.com, Jim Crow laws named after a black minstrel show character. The laws, which existed for about 100 years from the post-Civil War era until 1968, were meant to marginalize African Americans by denying them the right to vote, hold jobs, get an education, or other opportunities. But that went on until that was Jim Crow. That was them. That was the people that's why they got rid of Lincoln, so that Reconstruction would never take place. Anyway, there was no switch of the parties, is my point, and I'm tired of everybody trying to alter history. That this is the truth. The truth is the Klan was founded because they didn't want Reconstruction to take place. The Jim Crow laws were all them. Anyway, I digress. That woman then proceeded to tell me that from an educational standpoint, she just thought that the Democrats were so great.
Yeah, wonderful.
I told her they're having struggle sessions in schools. I am part of Moms for Liberty. I know that in the schools, they are teaching the children that one child assaults the other one. We need to now sit down and we need to talk. Those two people, the assaulter and the assaultee, need to sit down and then have a conversation about what did one do to provoke the other one to attack them. This is real. This is not a joke. And when you say these things to him, she just looked at me just blankly. I said, and men beating up women, I'm supposed to get on board with that? I mean, there's so many things. And she was just looking at me blankly. She had nothing to say. I had to be quiet because, again, I'm in her house. But I'm just like, if you can say to me that you think that I support her, then I get to.
Okay, odds, anybody, Bueller, on how much longer after that she was employed?
Say whatever I wanted to.
Maybe a long time, because this chick was a gaup, what I called guilty, overeducated white people. So yeah, maybe she liked being abused. Leftist white chicks are like that.
I mean, what? Because your husband is white, do I get to say, I don't know, I thought he was a Trump supporter, he's white? I'm so sick and tired of the assumption from white, especially liberal women.
Thank
Whenever
you.
they get along, they always want to try to talk like, aren't we buddies? Aren't we on the same side? Me and you, girl, we both like Kaula. No, bitch, we don't. We don't. I said I was going to be calm when I tried to make this video, and I guess this is about as calm as it gets, because it just makes my blood boil that they get to assume that they know anything about me. Oh, I even asked her about the rally that Harris had in Atlanta. I said, do you know about that? And she was excited. Oh, yeah. I said, do you know anything about Megan Thee Stallion's lyrics? Do any of those lyrics you think are appropriate for a political convention of any sort? She said, I don't know about her lyrics. I don't even know what to say. I was fuming. All I know is today I was glad that I could be cleaning so I could be getting out my anger, sweeping the floor real hard, because I was just done. After listening to her and talking to her, I just thought, and these are the motherfuckers we got voting.
I might steal that and just, if something just really disappoints. So, folks, that's the show. I went into overtime. I got to tell you, even though I didn't hook up a fraction of what I wanted to talk about tonight, but do I ever? And the answer is a resounding, not really. So here's what I think I'll be doing for tomorrow. Tomorrow is only a day away. I can carry a tune, but only about 5 feet. So Rick Robinson has been kind enough to invite me on his show. And so I'm going to accept. And then I'm also going to listen to the Reaver of Common Sense tomorrow on SHR. And I'll do some promotions. That was less than resounding. Wait a minute. There we go. Now you can see. So yeah, I'd like to be on Rick's show tomorrow. We'll send massages back and forth. Hey, look, a massage from the Swedish Prime Minister. And with luck, I'll be on the Rick Robinson show sometime tomorrow. We'll make the arrangements. That's French for arrangements. And then, so when I find out that is arranged, I'll put some stuff out on social media. And I think that's how I'm going to roll. It'll be great. I can tell. Just you wait. But oh, what heights will hit. On with the show. This is it. So I'll be on tomorrow night. Or tomorrow during the day, Rick Robinson. I will put the times, etc. there. And it will be fun because I've never been on his show before. I've never had the ability to Bigfoot it. I'll also promote the Reaver of Common Sense. Here's the deal with the Reaver of Common Sense. He's the other SHR guy that we have here. And that's Jersey Joe. He used to be in Jersey, then he hates Jersey, then he left Jersey, and then he went down to Florida. And now he made an amazing discovery that this guy that is I kind of don't want to Bigfoot this because Jersey Joe is going to skewer the crap out of this guy. And I'm going to be watching. It'll be great. But apparently a Republican just backstabbed the crap out of Governor Ron DeSantis and all the rest of the Republicans in Florida. It's like, if you can feature that, which is just because Jersey Joe, he's not having a good time on that. It's no bueno for him. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks to everybody for being here tonight. I had a great time. I hope you did too. We were all over the place. Anytime, people customarily say, wherever a good podcast can be found. Okay, so that's where you can find me, wherever a good podcast can be found. And also the munificently grandiose KLRN and Rick Robinson we'll have me on tomorrow. Thanks, Rick. Anyway, as you've heard me say any number of times, promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and also by Shure and Electro Voice microphones, Arrakis, the people that do my board, my mixer, and promotional consideration also by Pratt & Whitney engines featuring Thrust. You can trust. Tiaras are by My Little Pony. And by the way, this means against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Because oddly enough, hey, that's the oath I took. Imagine that. Thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I shall be consorting in less than 10 minutes, about 30 feet out that way. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching live. Thanks for being in chat. Thanks for watching in podcast. Everybody, God bless. Take care. Be safe.
Quiet down now. Get some sleep. Night, everybody. Night, Mama. Night, Ben. Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy. Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth. Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob. What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing? Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night and good luck.